Today I got started on this little side table makeover that I found on Facebook Marketplace. I gave it a good scrubbing and cleaned it up so that we could have a nice clean surface for the chalk paint. I'm going to do a faux wood finish on the top and then paint the legs with chalk paint. So stick around and see the step-by-step process to get that look.
Hello, I am going to show you how I do a faux finish on this tabletop. Now, this tabletop, I could probably sand it down and have a nice wood grain because it is wood. It's not like a veneer or anything, but this is what I want to do with this table. I just want it to kind of match something else that I have, and so you have more control over the color when you use paint. And also, if you're not wanting to sand, which I just got done with a big project where I had enough of sanding for a while. Anyway, so you don't have to do that with chalk paint. You don't have to sand it. I did scrub this down and make sure I have a clean surface to work with. But that's pretty much all you have to do with chalk paint. So I have this chalk paint by Waverly, which I get Waverly at Walmart, and so it's pretty reasonably priced. And this is the color truffle, and I've had some pretty good outcomes with this color. So I'm going to go with it again. Again, this is not it's not a formula, a science. It's more of an art. So I'm a little bit like, okay, how did I do that? Let me just kind of review in my head. But sometimes it's just trial and error, and I kind of at least know colors that I worked with and the technique that I usually do. So let's start. I'm going to put some paint. This truffle color here because they don't make the necks to these bottles big enough to stick this brush into. So I'm going to get the paint out for it. And basically, like I said, you just really need, with chalk paint, a clean surface, and it's going to stick to your the wood. Okay, so I'm going to start painting. I'm going to paint with the grain of the wood. Chalk paint is very thick, so I want to just kind of put on a pretty thin coat. I'm not going to make it super duper thin because this is probably only going to be one coat, and it's a darker color than the wood, so it's going to cover pretty well. On the legs, I've decided I'm going to use white. We did a poll, and I think the white came out okay. I was leaning towards black because I've done so much white, but I agree with everybody. I mean, some people voted for black, but I have both in my house, so either one will work. And with the white, you probably have to do, at least 2 coats, maybe 3, but we'll just see. We'll see how it looks after 2 coats for the legs, and go from there. Like I say, sometimes things work out a little different when you're dealing with different surfaces, and so this is what we're going to do. We're going to find out, see what happens on this particular table. So as you can see, it covers real easily. This chalk paint is so easy to work with. You just go with the grain, the wood grain, okay? And I've got a little chip brush here, just a little cheap brush. Chalk paint, you can kind of texture and layer with it. So, as this is going, I don't mind if there's brush marks in it, because to me, I want to make it look like it's wood, right? So the brush marks is kind of lending to that wood grain feel. So, as long as they're kind of going the right way, you're really just, creating a foundation for that to be a nice layer for your wood look, okay? And I'm just gonna get the sides here as I'm going. And again, I'm brushing the same way because I want it to be, if there's a texture to it, I want the texture to be semi-uniform, going the right direction. So I'm just gonna do that. Make sure we've got it covered really well. So I don't have to do another color or another coat. But I am going to do more colors colors on this particular layer, on the top. So, you know, it's like more than one coat when you do that. It's just for this particular base, this is all I hope to do for this, because we have to have it drying in between time. So that's sometimes the hard part. It's like being patient between the steps, because now this paint is gonna have to dry before I do something else to it, you know, before I start playing around with other colors and, you know, whitewashing it or color washing it like I do. So anyway, that's all there is to that. It's called Truffle, that's the color. Waverly is the brand. And yeah, we're just gonna let this dry. That's pretty much all there is to the first coat on the top of this table. And I usually do the legs, you know, I get the top all the way done before I start the legs, so I can't, you know, really even do anything until this is dry, and then we're gonna, like I say, do the next step. Because I don't want to mess the legs up, like I have white on the legs and I accidentally get some of this top stuff on it after I painted it, and it's aggravating. So if you just do the one step at a time, get the top done, and then we'll tackle the legs. So let's let this dry, and then I'll be back for the next step.